What's going on? Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for joining me today. Mondays are typically going to be sit down and talk to you about something related to teaching and life day. So today I decided I wanted to talk to you about something that's close on my heart, which is basically how to balance teaching with being married or being in a committed relationship of some type. Because teaching is a very time-consuming job and it's very selfless and you're putting others before yourself all the time, it can be very easy to neglect your other responsibilities and relationships in your life. So I figured, hey, a lot of new teachers getting ready to start a school year, give some advice on how to balance teaching and marriage, or teaching and, if you're not married yet, a serious relationship, how to kind of navigate those waters. And not just for new teachers, for veteran teachers alike as well. Things that have worked for me, things that haven't worked for me. So let's get started. Let's get right at it. So let me start off by saying this. Family first, period, end of story. Your wife, your husband, your kids, they come before school. That's it, period. Your family is more important than teaching. That's just how it is. Your wife, your husband, more important than school. Your kids, more important than school. When you start putting school ahead of your other important priorities like family, that's when everything's going to spiral out of control. That's when you're going to start having problems. So always keep your family first. That's it. You know what? That might mean coming home early a couple nights a week to make sure you have dinner with your family. That might mean not going to an after-school event because you want to spend time with your family. You know, that might mean you have to take a day off of school and you have to take a day off to go be with your kid when they're sick, or take a day off to go to something like family first, end of story. Okay, now I got that out of the way, here's some advice that I have. Also, by no means am I perfect at this. Kristen and I have our disagreements from time to time, and sometimes, you know, the work-life balance will get weighed a little bit more to the work side, and then we'll have a conversation to try to even it out again. So it's not perfect. Kristen and I, it's going to be year 4 of marriage, going on year 4. We feel like we've got a good balance, but it's all about that open dialogue and that open communication, and like not hiding anything, and like always telling each other how we feel about how much time we're spending together and that kind of thing. It's about life and work. That work-life balance. And I think we all strive to achieve a good work-life balance, but teaching is unique because teaching is a job where you are not just working for your contract hours from 7:30 to 3:30 or whenever it is. We've got to work outside of class, obviously. Weekends, nights, it's always something to do and always something that we have to do. Many times, you know, it seems like we're working all the time, and I imagine it would be very frustrating to be on the other side of the coin where you're a significant other and you need something and we're busy with school all the time. So for me, I actually met Kristen, my wife, when I was in college. And so she knew what she was getting into, more or less. Like, she knew, okay, I'm dating this teacher who's going to be a teacher. And then when we got, you know, engaged, she knew, okay, I'm going to be marrying a teacher. And so it was all about like being open with communication, and I feel like that's the key to a good marriage is open communication. Oh, by the way, Kristen and I's anniversary is this Thursday, July 13th, so another appropriate reason to do this video. So a key to any good marriage, I think, is communication. So we kind of talked about it. What would it entail? Like when I got my first job in Chicago, before I moved, we talked about what that first year might look like, especially because I was also getting my master's degree at the same time. So we had a conversation on what that might look like and what our evenings would look like, and we kind of agreed, you know, we had an agreed upon expectation that, yep, I'm going to be kind of crazy busy for this first year, and that's just going to be kind of how it is. But what we did was we carved out certain times, and we made sure that certain times were our together time, like Saturday nights. There's no reason you should be doing anything on Saturday night. Sorry, you can whatever, the whole day Saturday, the whole day Sunday. Saturday night, at least, stop it. Quit being a teacher for Saturday night. Go on a date with your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend. Go on a date. You know, so we carved out time on the weekend, and we would carve out time during the weeknight too. We had supper every night together, and that was our time. Maybe we'd go on a walk afterwards. But my first year, I was doing pretty much work up until bedtime. I just had so much to do, so much stuff to do all the time that I really was working almost all of the time, but it was about carving out that time and making that time. So it's all about sitting down and having agreed upon expectations. It's just the same as starting up your classroom for the beginning of the year is setting the expectations. So it's the same thing with marriage. Set your expectations. This is what it's gonna, like, what should it look like? It's a conversation. It's letting the other person know, hey, this is gonna be the things that are required of me every week. This is when I'm gonna need to do them. Let's work our schedules together around that. Not everybody is blessed enough to have a significant other who has a similar schedule to them, like a regular day job. If you might have a significant other that has, I guess, works third shift or second shift or all weekends, and it can be, a difficult situation. But it really truly is all about making the time. The biggest tip that I have for how to make it work, more or less, is to actually physically sit down together and plan out your week. I talk about this from time to time in vlogs, and that's one of the things that I believe the most, is sitting down and planning out your week together, getting your calendars out, and just talking every day through. Okay, Monday, what we got going on, right? Because every week will change all the time. You'll have after-school events. You'll have things you got to go to. You'll have parent-teacher conferences. You'll have ball games. There's always going to be different things. You're going to have meetings every other Thursday. It's just about sitting down and getting your calendars aligned and talk about and making sure that you have enough time to spend with one another. So Kristen and I, every Sunday, we sit down and we go through every evening of the week and say, this is what we have to do. Where's our free time? When can we spend time together? When are we eating together? When are we eating with family? That is very important to us, because then we know for sure that if we sit down and plan out our week together, we're not missing anything. We're not feeling like we're only doing one thing. Here's what can go wrong if you don't plan out. This is what Kristen and I got trapped into a couple years back in the winter. Here's what we did. We didn't plan out our weeks, and so pretty much every night we came home, ate supper, watched Netflix, and went to bed. Now, this was before I did any video stuff or YouTube or anything, so I didn't have any other hobbies, but we found that every day was the same. We'd come home, eat supper, watch Netflix, go to bed. Come home, watch Netflix. We got stuck in this rut, and we just kind of felt trapped, and we weren't very happy, and we finally realized it was because we weren't allowing ourselves the times to do things that we like to do together and separate. That's another big point, is being married, you're still your own person. I love playing video games. Kristen doesn't really care about video games. It's just, I very much love him. Kristen couldn't care less about video games. So we make sure that we have our own separate time, as much each night we have some free time that's personal time, and we have some together time, even if it's just a 20-minute walk. That's our together time. It's very important that we do that and carve out that time first. Family first, so always carve out your time with your significant other first. Make your significant other, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, make them feel like the number one priority, and everything else will fall into place. If they truly believe that, hey, I'm number one in their eyes, then everything else will be just fine. It's showing them through actions, not telling them with your words that they are important to you, and it's just the truth. It's just the truth. No matter what job you have, family has to come first. That's just it. Especially if you're married, you made a commitment, you made a promise, you signed the papers. They're number one. That's just the way it is. And for the person who's not the teacher in the relationship, there has to be an understanding too of sometimes stuff's just gonna come up. School happens, right? School stuff happens, and sometimes things are just gonna come out of nowhere, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. And that's just an open conversation that you have to have with them. If you're a teacher, you have to say, look, I'm gonna try my best to schedule stuff out and spend time with you. But you know what? Sometimes things are just gonna happen, and I just can't say no, or I have to take care of it, and that has to be agreed upon. But the thing is, what I do to kind of offset that is, Kristen knows that sometimes an emergency meeting will pop up, or sometime I'll have, a parent will call me in the middle of something that we're doing, and I gotta pick up because it's really important, and she knows that. But to sort of swing it back and balance it out, the summertime, I don't do a whole lot of teaching stuff in the summer. I do my teaching tip videos and everything for YouTube, but I give myself pretty much June and July to be a regular person. And then once August kicks in, I'm full go again on teaching. But like, it's important that I use my summer to like way in Kristen's favor, make sure I'm going out of my way to make her number one all summer. Like I try my best to take on more household responsibilities. Like she normally does the dishes. I'm normally the one who cooks the supper, and she's the one who usually does the dishes. But in the summer, I try to help out with the dishes more. I try to do some more of her chores that she normally does during the school year. I try to take on more of those. I'm not perfect. You probably hear her complain about me not doing the litter enough, but the thing of it is, like, I try to use my summer then, since I don't have people taking me away or taking time away from me from our family time. I try to use the summer to help balance it out. So then when the school year does come, it's like, okay, well, it's here now, so kind of, you know, we have to sort of balance it out. So bottom line, family first forever, period. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Find your gift, share it with the world, and remember, you are worth it. See you tomorrow.